I live in the US and I purchased an Osmo Pocket 4 off eBay from a seller in South Korea a few months ago. And I recently had the opportunity to test the camera out in an extremely challenging environment during a video shoot I did for the Porsche Club of Dallas. Now, I've been using the Pocket 4 III to shoot car videos for a couple years, but I've never used it in as difficult a situation as I was going to be using the Pocket 4 in, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And if you're wondering why my Pocket 3 looks strange, it's because I've got a telephoto lens attached to it. The shoot combined all of the most difficult challenges this camera could face, mixing the extreme darkness of the nighttime sky with the extreme brightness of the car headlamps. The camera also faced incredibly difficult tracking challenges following a fast-moving vehicle that was driving around other cars, and the Pocket 4 also faced some extreme stability challenges being mounted to a fast-moving vehicle. And after putting the Pocket 4 through the ringer for over an hour, this camera surpassed my expectations in many ways, but there were a couple things I didn't like about it. And for those of you wondering how the camera functions in the US, every aspect of this camera functions just as good as the Pocket 3 does, minus a couple things. The biggest issue I had with the Pocket 4 came about at the very beginning of the shoot. I had the unit mounted upside down in a Tilta Hydra Alien Mini, and when I turned the camera on, the gimbal would instantly point the camera down at the ground. And no matter how many times I recentered the camera, the gimbal would just repoint it back at the ground. I tried turning it off and on a few times, but the problem persisted. I was finally able to solve this issue by holding the power button down for 30 seconds and then turning the camera back on. Now, this should not have been a problem because I've been shooting with the Pocket 3 in the exact same way for over a year and I've never experienced this problem. But other than that, the Pocket 4 was outstanding. I was very pleased with both the battery life and the internal storage, and I never experienced any overheating issues. I shot at 4K at 30 frames per second in low light mode, and after about an hour and 20 minutes of continuously bumpy shooting in the dark, there was still battery life left and there was still storage left. And I have to say it was nice to buy a new camera without having to purchase an additional SD card as well. But what really impressed me was the camera's ability to handle so much contrast so well. As you can see, the dynamic range of the Pocket 4 is excellent. It handled the extreme contrast of the dark skies and bright headlamps very well, and even faint clouds in the sky appeared clear in the footage. There's very little grain in the dark and mid areas, and the bright areas of the image look good as well. Another big factor that impressed me was the stabilization, as the camera was mounted to a fast-moving car and was in an extremely dark environment, which typically hinders the camera's stabilization ability. And despite the camera being mounted to a stabilization arm, the gimbal still had to work overtime to keep the shot steady. And given all this, I have to say that I am extremely impressed by the Pocket 4's image stabilization. The last challenge for this camera was subject tracking, and once again, given the extreme darkness and extremely bright headlights mixed with a fast-moving object and several similar shaped objects in the foreground and background, I was again very impressed by the camera's tracking ability. It did lose the subjects a few times as the car zigzagged around the highway, but I would say the tracking was on point 75% of the time. And given the numerous challenges it was dealing with, that is quite good. So after this very difficult test, I am overall extremely impressed by the Pocket 4, and I wouldn't hesitate to use it in any kind of shooting scenario, but I do have one additional complaint about it. The Pocket 3 comes with a nice little hardcover that protects the camera and is convenient to remove and put back on, but the Pocket 4 only comes with a soft zippered pouch that's cumbersome and doesn't offer any real protection. But at the end of the day, that's not a huge problem, as you can purchase a hard case for the Pocket 4. It's just kind of strange how DJI downgraded the case for it. Now, if you're in the market for a new pocket vlogging camera, you have a lot of different choices, but I can offer some advice on which camera to buy. If you already own a Pocket 3, it simply isn't worth it to upgrade to the Pocket 4. But if you're looking to purchase your first pocket gimbal camera, you've got some great choices. If you're wanting to save some money, the Pocket 3 is your best bet, as they're nearly as good as the Pocket 4 and the prices keep dropping. But if price is no object and you don't live in the US, I would skip the Pocket 4 and get the Pocket 4 Pro. But if you do live in the US, Extra, which is a front company for DJI, is supposed to start selling the Muse Pro 2 sometime this summer. I think this will be the best option for those of us in the US, as I've seen some of the low light footage from it and I was very impressed. Impressed enough to put a deposit down on one, but it does look like the government is beginning to crack down on them, so we'll see how that affects the sales of the Muse Pro 2. The Insta360 Luna Pro is also a direct competitor of the Pocket 4 Pro and is available in the US. But I haven't been too impressed by the footage I've seen from it, so I'll be waiting for the Muse 2 Pro. And if the sales of those get blocked, it looks like prices for the Pocket 4 Pro on eBay are starting to creep below $800. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the Muse Pro 2 and Pocket 4 Pro pricing. But once I purchase one of them, I will do a full review on it. Thanks for watching, and for more camera reviews, click here to subscribe to my channel.